Hello there, dear loving soul. Welcome to this office and to this channel where we talk about advocating for universal laws and practicing love. My friends, today the subject matter of today's video is actually all about simplicity bringing balance, or simplicity brings balance. Now, this video series has been fully guided by the Spirit. As you can see, I've already got some cards in front of me here and some oracle cards because of the fact that I decided that I'm going to be asking for guidance from the Spirit, from the angels and archangels, to give me the sign as to what is the best thing I can talk about today. Why? Because the truth is, even though I had plenty of ideas as to what I could talk about today, none of them felt quite right. And because I inspire people to practice love on this channel, and that's kind of my goal, and I feel like that's my mission, I decided to actually tune in with my heart and pray, which is an act of love in my world, and I encourage people to do so. So I did. I addressed my beautiful spirit world and my guardian angels to give me the message that needs to be relayed to the public at large today. And so what happened was I drew a card from the intuition deck, and I will show you what it came up with. It's the forest card, my friends. I've got this male figure with horns looking down into a beautiful little baby deer, and the deer on his hands with some water, who's drinking some water from the hands. Inside of it is the beautiful, beautiful forest, green and blue color scheme. And so I'm going to read the title as well as the message from the guidebook, and the title, Simplicity Brings Balance, is of this video series comes from this particular intuition card. So here we go. The message that you all need to hear today, according to the Spirit, is simplicity brings balance. You are being called home to connect back to the forests and animals, where you truly belong, where everything is connected, and where the life force comes from. You have a deep sense of belonging when connected to nature. The forests call to you. Could your life be simpler? Could you strip back all the complexities that so often create drama and difficulties? Balance is needed. Just as in the forest, for everything to be in harmony, there needs to be a natural order and natural balance. Seek the trees if you need to reconnect with what is really important to you. Soak up the energy that is held there, and the signs are balance, simplicity, connection, and realignment. So there you go, my darling, beautiful selves, loving souls. We're talking about this simplicity bringing balance. That's the topic of the video series for today. As always, part 1 is all about the facts and universal laws, which I'm about to jump into. Part 2 will be the application, and specifically talking about the universal laws and the Holy Trinity of love, to get some practical tips as to what we can do to perhaps find that simplicity in our life. How can we make our life a little bit more simpler in order to have more balance? In part 3, I will definitely tap into some more decks here on the table with me in order to give some more messages from our darling, guardian angels, archangels, and everybody else who is presiding over this video series for today. So there were 3 cards that I grabbed from my tarot deck in order to kind of clarify the forest card for me. And when I was looking through them, I thought that this is a perfect situation, cards for the universal laws, in order to actually bring about some universal laws given the messages from the cards. The first one that popped through is the 7 of Swords. Now, there's dual meaning to this. I feel like there's dual meaning to everything. And so the first one is the more negative aspect, I guess, negative interpretation of the card, which is deception and looking over back your shoulder, spying, running away, somebody being sneaky, and running away with the 5 swords, and leaving only 2 behind, sort of, for the community, and kind of taking something that perhaps is not yours, running away with it from the community. And how can we interpret it for the point of this particular subject matter for today? I think the most immediate thing that comes through is perhaps we as a humanity have taken a little bit too much resources or too much of something and haven't left enough of something back. As in, there is a disbalance, right? If somebody's got 5 swords in their hands, but they only left 2 for the community, that means that something has happened at some point in time where there's a disbalance. Something has been taken off too much and not much left back. And I think, interpret it as you will, use your intuition, but in the context of thinking about the beautiful forest and the animals, the flora and fauna, maybe we, as haven't been living in harmony as much as we could have, the humanity. So the positive side of this is it is the highest minor arcana apparently in the cards of tarot. It's talking about your plans, your hopes, or it could be like a wish card as well. And 7, I like the number 7. It's like an angelic card as well. Angelic number, sorry. Well, in my world anyway, that's how I interpret it. And it could be a lot, swords is like an element of air, could talk about communication. So perhaps this could relay a point about having to connect with the divine, connect with your angels. You might be wishing for a situation of having a more simpler life because perhaps you've got a lot going on in your life. Too many plates that you're spinning, just as an example, or too much of something, too much is going on and it's just overwhelming, it's suffocating, and perhaps there is this deeper inner knowing or a wish that you actually have, or a plan that you might have even created or about to create, in order to step away and run away from that kind of life, that lifestyle, and move into the future whereby you might have a more simpler life. And you might actually feel like you are doing it in the shadow. You might be doing it quietly in a sneaky manner because who knows, you might be fear of judgment from your community or from the people that you usually associate with. As in, you might be in a community where more is better, it's considered more is better, and so very much a lot of consumerism, spending money, showing off things. You might be in that environment, but deep down inside you may want to actually disassociate yourself from there and move into the future, into a more simple life, connected with planet Earth and the beautiful energy of hers, and honouring the forest, the trees, the nature, the mother nature, the animals, animal kingdom. That might be you. For the second universal law, I would like to talk today about what the Spirit wants to discuss. It's the Hierophant. It's number 5 in the Major Arcana deck, and I love it. It is a Major Arcana, so this is a significant card. It's it highlights an area of one's life that is quite big, like a big milestone. It's talking, some of the representations of this card include, higher education, knowledge, religious or spiritual practices, marriage perhaps, or some kind of official situation, a building, a church, a temple, a public company, government sometimes. It could mean, Taurus is another energy, so something, from a Taurus that I'm getting. Taurus represents I have, I possess, and that for me means like material things. So obviously in this context of the topic, it's having too many material things perhaps, or having too much of possessions, items, products, goods that perhaps are simply not necessary, and in fact they might be causing that disbalance in your life. And hence the whole point is that simplicity brings balance. Perhaps it's time to take away some of those things, get rid of some of those things, be that the clothes in your wardrobe that you're no longer using, be that boxes of stuff in your garage that you're no longer using or utilizing and it's just catching dust, be that cutlery or dishes and plates and baking stuff in your kitchen, or older items of food, for instance, cans of stuff or sauces in your fridge that have expired and you simply haven't taken them out yet. So there's a lot obviously in one's life that one can have that is material items that are perhaps no longer necessary, no longer used. And 2 things that pop through is, 1, if there's an opportunity to be in alignment with the nature and harmony and balance, then there's perhaps opportunity to recycle some of those things. Consider donating if it's safe and healthy to do so. If the item is fine, it's just that you're not using it anymore. Otherwise, obviously, if it's really one and torn, nobody else should be able to use that item on good that you're no longer wanting, then obviously you need to get rid of it. Do it in the most environmentally friendly way that you can, and just consider doing that. Now, the other thing that comes to my mind actually as I'm speaking about it, knowledge and that education and that higher knowledge is connection with your higher self, tapping into your heart and tapping into your higher self, listening to yourself to know what does it mean for you exactly to make your life simpler. And the most instant first thing that comes to my mind is actually your thoughts. So sometimes in this busy world that we're all living in, and with a lot of information and data being thrown in us on a daily basis through our radio, through our TV, through our social media platforms and channels, news, not to mention everything happening in your personal family, connections, discussions you're having, your work colleagues. Sometimes we can get overwhelmed with too much information, resulting in thoughts that perhaps are no longer serving your highest good. So one step of making your life more simpler will probably kick off and start off by changing your thought patterns, paying attention to your thoughts, and making sure that whatever you're thinking is actually for your highest good, and those thoughts are simpler. Perhaps there's less of them. Sometimes, the practice of mindfulness to still your mind, to pause for a moment, could be the way to go. Alrighty, and I'm just going to move on to the next card, which is another major arcana that popped through for the third universal law today, which is the Judgment. And the way I want to think about this is, decisions pending finality. The only decision that can be made under circumstances, that's what's written on the card. But this card, a lot of the time, represents that connection or one connectedness that we all have with the universe, and in particular to the spiritual realm, and that perhaps this is a bit of a wake-up call, a bit of God asking for attention, or as a result of perhaps some kind of spiritual imbalance that may be causing this overconsumption or lack of simplicity in your life. And if you are going through that point of time in your life at the moment and you're experiencing an imbalance, perhaps even this video series, the fact that you clicked on it might be a confirmation to you that God is asking for some attention, that you are needing a little bit more balance in your life. Something is not quite working out. It's a judgment call, a wake-up call, and it's time to strip back all the complexities, all the drama, all the negativity, all the difficulties, challenges, whatnot is happening in your particular lifetime at this point in time, and it's time to bring in some simplicity. The more simpler, the better. And reconnecting with the nature, going back to our intuition card today, the forest. I actually love this because it does look, it kind of reminds me, this male figure does remind me of Jesus a little bit, the much bigger spirit, like an ascended master, somebody who's wise, somebody who is loving and nurturing, and he's got, the water and the animal kingdom and the forests literally in the palm of his hands as well as all through him. So I love it in conjunction with this Judgment card and the Hierophant, which both are actually two major arcanas, just showing you the connection of that one universe and that we're all connected, that we're all united, and we need to bring in more balance. Lack of running away with the 5 swords and leaving only 2 for the rest. It's a time to bring in some more balance in our life, for the benefit of each individual, and as a result of it, for the whole collective. And at the bottom of the deck was the Page of Swords, which is a young person. Some of the meanings of it is, spying on deception, or reflecting back over your shoulder. It's kind of confirming the 7 of Swords, or, the negative interpretation of it anyway, which is when you're doing something, you're running away, you are on defense, you're spying back over your shoulder, perhaps you've done something that's a little bit not quite nice or not okay, and you are needing to reflect back over your shoulder to defend yourself. Alternatively, you're spying. You're not doing something nice, which you spying usually isn't a nice thing, right? Invading other people's privacy and whatnot. So I'll just have a drink of water. Is there anything else for part one that I can see based on these cards? But one thing I can definitely confirm is that out of the 3 cards here on the table, to clarify the card for us, 2 major arcanas came through, the Hierophant and the Judgment. Very, very spiritual cards, very universal, angelic, connecting with the upper realms, the team upstairs, which just, I think, confirms how important this subject is to discuss at this point in time. And I'm glad that I was drawn to speak about it today, and that I have effectively followed my intuition earlier today, that instead of just picking a topic for a video series that was on my list that didn't feel quite loving or didn't quite resonate, I actually went with, I'm going off script. There is no script for this. I'm just going with whatever is flowing and whatever the beautiful messages I'm receiving from the angels and the guardian angels and the spirit guides and the universe. Because obviously there needs to be some kind of realignment on the subject of simplicity, going back to harmony, connecting with the nature, with the forest, with the trees, with the nature, and with the animal kingdom, my friends. Okay, so I'm just gonna wrap up part 1 there, my friends. Click on the link below for part 2, and we will get into the practical tips or the application part of these universal laws and how we can practice more love. Click on the link below, my friends. I'll see you shortly.